Naptown. It's our time. Naptown Narratives.
Sister.
Yes, my brother.
Sister, how you doing? How you doing?
I am phenomenal. I'm amazing. I'm blessed.
Oh, three. You
You
got
know,
one
power
more?
three.
Okay.
Power three. You got a power three. Power three. My name is Marquise Gee.
Okay. Marquise Gee.
G.
Can you? No, I'm just what side of town you from?
I am from the northwest side,
West side.
so I'm like 2 blocks away from Butler.
2 blocks away from Butler.
Pretty much raised on the east side most
Uh-oh.
of my life. So my church is on the east side. My grandma lives on the east side, like 46th Street area.
Mhm.
Literally right in front of the Monon where the fair is at.
I know
So
you are.
46, all that is like pretty much I frequent that whole area a lot. But yeah, technically northwest.
So you know you from the city, of the city. You got a bunch of different names to describe the city. Indianapolis, Indy, Naptown. Can you talk us through the difference
Yeah.
between those?
I think Indianapolis is like our birth name. That's just our maiden name. That's what we put on the paper, you know, the name. When we go to put in the job applications, that's what we have to write down. Indy, I think, is the trend for the larger realm.
The larger.
The larger
Understood.
realm. But I think Nap and Naptown is the culture. I think that wherever we go, we're gonna find our pocket, we're gonna find our sauce, we're gonna find our thing to just make our thing. And I'm not really sure where the origins of it came from or anything like that, but I feel like when you address the city as Naptown, you're engaged in a specific group. You're talking to a specific person when you're having that. So I feel like that's our culture. I feel like it hasn't been expanded upon in its truest sense to really give us that culture and why it was stated in the first place. I think it was kind of when that whole Chirac thing started coming about, and I don't know why we was trying to start a territorial beef or something, but I feel like that was our opportunity to create our culture. And I feel like now is the time to really expand and put an impact on that as what we have is ours in our city.
Now I love what you said about the fact no matter where we go, and I know exactly who he is. You know, we claim something. We claim our state. And the way in which we claim that state, we also give it a name. Because it's power in words and it's power in a name.
Yeah.
You call something stupid, it's going to think it's stupid. You call it successful, it's going to think it's successful.
Okay.
If you call it Indianapolis, it's going to think it's Indianapolis. You call it Indy, it's going to be Indy.
Yeah.
But you call it Nap. You know what I'm saying? You call it Naptown.
Yeah.
But even that, like that takes on different names and different identities depending upon your experience. So what you do? Tell the people what you do.
I am a lease analyst. So Simon Property Group is the largest property management company in probably all the world. They own every mall there is in the U.S. and several out of the country as well. So that is my full daytime job. My other full daytime job is working and building my own business, which is G4 Unlimited. Essentially, to the public, it is motivational coaching, but for me, it's much more than that. It's really a lot to do with more of what we'll talk about today, but helping people to understand what their passions are and helping to discover that to drive them in their purpose. And then also helping them to network and engage with people in an effective way that can help people just leverage what they know and who they know in a better way. And specifically incorporating that into the fold of what Indianapolis is and really building from within, you know. So we talk about nepotism a lot in terms of the workplace and families and things of that nature, but that can, depending on your perspective, look so much different, you know what I mean? There's really nothing wrong with it if you're doing it in an effective way. So that's really what it's all about for me.
You've experienced so much of the city.
Oh yeah.
You talked about northwest side, kind of where you grew up. Definitely familiar with the east side of the city.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me about why you love Naptown? We're gonna start.
Wow, why do I love Naptown? If I'm being very honest, I don't feel like I actually started to love Naptown until a year ago.
Oh.
A year and a half ago.
Tell us why.
Yeah, so I am 24. I was born in 1996. Lived here all my life. it's always funny to hear other people talk about their families and, you know, where they came from and all these different things. But I know my mom's side of the family, my grandma on her side came from Mississippi. But on my dad's side, pretty much to like my great-great-great-grandparents that I'm aware of were like here. So, and that's the side of the family that I grew up around the most. So I've heard if we could go down any block and there's not one story they can't tell me of what was there before, the last 7 businesses, what this street was called, this, that, and the other. But like people say, Indy is the largest, smallest city. So when you're living here, you're just concerned about your day-to-day. It wasn't really until I left Indy completely. So I even went to school in Indiana. It was outside of Indianapolis, but I still was here in Indy, and I wasn't really that far if I wanted to come home. But when I graduated from college, I moved to the Dominican Republic for 6 months. And it wasn't until I came back that I really saw it in a new light. And I think it's just, I don't know, timing is everything, obviously. But coming back, even while I was gone, I started to see a rise, especially in the people of my generation, i.e. you. Where's Mike G? Jazz Mary, who is like basically like one of my sisters, who I grew like she literally saw me grow up. So I see all these people, DJ Draft Pick, Slick, you know what I mean?
Name them. You better say the name.
Look, I'm gonna give people their flowers now. I'm gonna give people their flowers, but I'm seeing all these things and kind of started having this FOMO a little bit while I was gone. And when I came back, it was just like almost a whole new place.
Wow.
Literally, my church is on 46 and off of 46 in College. So right there, I remember it's called, I think it's called like Next Door Eatery or something like that now. And there's another restaurant across the street and all these, that was a double eight when I was growing up.
Come on.
We used to walk, we used to leave and then sneak out from church and walk there.
Look at that, on camera.
On camera, the Lord knows my heart. We have repented all of our sins. But we used to walk there and like get snacks and stuff. And I remember when it closed, like that was a big thing for us. So it was kind of just like, it was a whole new place, seeing all these different businesses and the bus system coming up. And even just on my block where I live, seeing the streets get repaved and all this stuff, it was just so much new things, so many new things going on. And people were really walking in their purposes and like deviating from this norm of what getting a job looks like after college. And it was just so inspiring to me to see. And it was actually being something of impact and being effective. And I was just like, I want to be a part of this. Like, I have to be a part. I'm from here. There's no reason why I shouldn't be a part of this, especially if you know my dad. I think this man is like, if Indy is the largest small city, my dad is the largest small celebrity.
I like that.
Seriously,
like
we can't, but I feel like that's also a part of the culture of Indy, is that there are, for lack of using words, we have our city celebrities, you know what I mean? And that's the young and old, and I think that's just such a cool thing to see. So that's really, I feel like, when my love really started, because I was one of the migrators. I was about to be up out of here, okay? But when I came back, it was just an energy, and the air was just totally different. Even when I was in college, and when I would come home for the weekends, like I could just feel, once I crossed past Noblesville, I could just feel like I could feel my shoulders relax. And it took me a while to start understanding that, you know, like what that feeling was. I thought maybe it was like, oh, I just miss my family or something like that. But granted, when people move away, you know, it's maybe to another state or something like that. Mine was literally across the world. So a pretty dramatic experience, definitely grateful for it, but it opened my eyes so much more to what's possible and what's available here. That made me really feel like I'm very adamant now about staying. Even now, people are like, oh, so when are you gonna move again? I had an offer to get paid to work in Mexico.
Come on.
And I was like, no, I can't do it. I don't want to do it. Like, I remember it was, because I came back the day of Super Bowl in 2020, February 2020. And I think while that was in Miami, but everything on the news here was talking about, I'm terrible at sports. I think it's March Madness. What's the big All-Star Weekend? That's what it is. All-Star Weekend was supposed to be here in 2021. I'm terrible at sports.
It's okay though.
I'm terrible at it, but All-Star Weekend was supposed to be here this year in 2021, and so they were just talking about how they were preparing for it and things of that nature. And I just had this eerie feeling in my body. And I remember I looked at my mom and I was like, something's about to happen here. I don't know what it is, but something's about to happen. And as more time went along and I just saw people and things and stuff going on, I was like, I just keep telling people, I'm like, claim your stake now. 5 years from now, India's about to look a lot different. Like, everything, and for me, I'm a person that I like to understand how things work, how things come about. Even though I'm not super techie or anything, like, I still want to know, like, why do we not touch the blue and the red wire? Like, I want to know all these things. And because of the experiences I've had in life, I've had the opportunity of speaking with some pretty high level people, all the way to like organizers of the Olympics, you know what I mean? So understanding that the things that we just are able to sit back and leisurely be entertained by don't come about by chance, you know what I mean? So realizing that, especially speaking that All-Star Weekend was supposed to be here, we've had the Super Bowl, we have several national sports teams. That does not happen in a lot of places, you know what I mean? So when I sat back and I was able to really realize that, like from the window of my job, I can see Lucas Oil, you know what I mean, from my window. And I'm like, a lot of people don't have that in every state, every city. So to realize that we are able to get these things, and people don't realize they have to bid for years, thousands and millions of dollars to get these things. And the fact that we've had them multiple times and we're looked at as one of the most successful places that they host these events, that's not by chance. We're called the Crossroads of America, for goodness sake. You know what I mean? That is not something to really be taken lightly, but I think because we are considered the largest, smallest city, we can take those things for granted because we just circulate so much in our nucleus everyday life. But there's so much out here. But I think some of the things are becoming so new to us, it's even hard for us to figure out how to navigate. And all the things that we're looking for, we could build here, you know what I mean? And even better because cost of living is lower, because our connections and networks are a little bit more free and open to people. Everything that you travel for outside of maybe the beach, which technically we do have,
The news.
you know, technically we do have, all of that stuff could be right here. We just have to take more time to invest in it. And there is so much opportunity here. And I think people look at what they want in their lives in totally different ways. Some people want to achieve the mega stardom and all that stuff. You could be a star here, you know what I mean? There are a lot of notable people that live right here under our noses. There are people that are making 7, 8, 9 plus figures and live right around the corner. And we would never know, but it's because that's what they chose to do to continue to breed success in our city.
So what I want to do next is if you could describe the city in 3 words. You just gave us 30,000.
Yeah.
But if you could describe the city in 3 words. 3 words. What are the 3 words being why?
Innovative.
Okay. You're big on it.
Yeah. Innovative, mixed, and growing.
Come on now. Now you know what I'm asking next. You gotta break it down for me.
So innovative because we have a lot of industry here. We have a lot of big industry things here, and if it's not exactly here, we're not far from where it's at. So one of the things that I've learned through film is that Chicago is a big hub for film. That's 3 hours away. We bust that on the weekend anytime, you know what I mean? So we're not far from some things that are happening. I think also with the new age of technology and creativity, especially in the younger generations that's coming about, it's allowing us to expand on what experiences look like. And I love experiences. A part of my working background is in hospitality, so bringing experiences to life is a big thing for me. And one of the things that I've learned is that experience can be had in any field, you know what I mean? And I think that it's so amazing that there are so many creative people now that are applying things that they've learned and implementing their creativity. Because I think one of the reasons why, as young adults, we get so maybe turned off by the traditional work system is because creativity was lost. You then have to surrender your creativity to just become a producer for someone else. And I think that so many people now are realizing and learning that you don't have to forego one to achieve the other. And so I think that is why I would give innovative as a word, because it can be applied to so many different things, whether it's actually a physical product, an experience, a service, whatever the case may be. It's thriving a lot. Mixed, I will say, because there's a very diverse group of people here. I feel like we have people from a lot of cultures. They come from a lot of different places, whether they come from different cities, different countries altogether, especially in the school systems, having 3 large universities and then multiple smaller ones. We get a lot of people, and then a lot of people come from other states or other countries, and then they actually decide that they want to stay. That's a great enhancement to the city in a lot of ways. And I think that's dope for someone to say, I love this experience so much, I want to leave everything that I know behind and stay here. Or they've met so many people from the city that they're like, I've made more of a home base or family culture or whatever here with people I've only known for 2, 3, 4 years, that I want to stay here and make this my life. So I think that's so dope and so amazing to see. And I say growing because it's growing every day. There's not a day I drive around and there's not a new restaurant, a new apartment, a new venue, a new activity, a new event, a new like it's always something new. It's always something growing. I haven't really done all the research and looked at the numbers, but I would love to just see how, especially after COVID, I feel like financially, this was a great spot for a lot of people to come to. With things already being pretty low and with the resources we are able to provide, I think some people are unaware, but I think that's everywhere. Even in college, there are things I hear about now as an alumni, and I'm like, where was this at? Where was this at? But I think we have so much here. It just all comes to who and what are you tapped in with. And I think one of the best things about our generation now is that we push for network and connection so much now that it allows you to come across things that have been here for such a long time that can really help and advance you in so many different ways. So that's why I would choose those 3 words of innovative, mixed, and growing.
So get to my next question. A lot of people think it's Naptown because the city's sleep. But some of us who I think keep the city awake and dreaming think that it's called Nap because of how the world sleeps on us. Because we are the world's largest small city. And so for you, as someone who I think helps the city to continue to dream by inspiring and exposing us to new ways to think and collaborate and partner, if you had to speak to somebody who was dead set on you, like it's called Nap because the city sleep, you know, what would you say to them? And then 2, to the person who's thinking about moving somewhere, and Indy may or may not be on their radar. You know, what would you say to them?
I will start with a question. Why? Because I feel like so many people leave any situation, whether it's a home, a relationship, school, whatever the case may be, because they feel incomplete. They're looking for something, and that something is their purpose. And a lot of people don't identify that before they make a move in their life. The purpose is the path. That's the direction you need to follow. And if you move without identifying that, you're shooting in the dark, basically. You're walking through the woods with no compass, you know? So I feel like you need to identify, why am I doing this? Am I trying to escape something? And if you're trying to escape, is that a healthy thing? Or are you trying to hide something from yourself? Because then that's self-work that needs to be done first before you can then get to the purpose, to then get to your passions and drive the rest of your destiny. So that would be my first question. Second, what is it that you're looking for? Because a lot of the times, most of that is already here. How do you already perceive yourself? Because some of us perceive ourselves bigger than what we really are. So we want to jump in the pool with the sharks, in the ocean with the sharks, and we really still need to be in the pond. Not even the
You're
pool.
giving bars. Nemo and Dory.
I'm just saying, you see he gets sucked up every movie.
Oh
so
my goodness gracious.
I'm just saying, we have to have a focus on who we are and what we're trying to accomplish as individuals and in the world at large. It's always going to be some barrier to get to the next level. It takes a long time for people to phase out of things. So whether it's, a cultural celebrity or in the workforce in general, you have to wait for people to kind of pass the torch to you in a sense, if you're trying to take on a certain level of status. So for some people that makes sense, but I would say for a great majority of people, we need to stay here and cultivate here because we're growing in a way and it's taking off in such a rapid pace that one, we need to take time to understand. Trends come from research that was done on things that have been done in the past. So a lot of the things that are occurring now in the world and in our city are new. We have to do that research because it affects us. Millennials are the last documented age name group because we were the last people that really research has been conducted on, and it's still being conducted on because we are at the breaking point of going the youngest age going into the workforce after like the recession and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So everything is dependent upon us. That is a large thing to carry on our backs, to know that we are essentially reshaping how the world looks. We talk about how we want change and how we need this to change. Well, we're the ones to do that. All the people that we're looking to make the change, they're like, look, we done made all the change we gonna make. At this point, I'm doing enough until I can age into my pension, and that's all I got for you. So at this point, we need to be absorbing what we can from them, developing what we know now, and figuring out how to marry the two. Because I don't agree that all traditional ways of life should be dead and buried. I don't. Because that's how we've gotten to this point. And again, you can't improve into the new if you don't understand the old. So we really need to learn how to take what we can, absorb the knowledge, still appreciate those that have come before us, and figure out, okay, well, how do we take this on to create our own paths, our own legacies, our own generational wealth, whatever that looks like for us. As entertainment grows, that is the number one reason why people travel. Comfort, leisure, entertainment. The number one reasons why people travel. That's starting to come up too. And if it's something that you don't see, create it. Or find the people that can. We don't, again, like I said before, we don't always have to hoard all of our ideas. Some people are just the idea holders and other people are the executors. I have 1,000,001 ideas. I'm gonna put them in a book one day and sell it. But execution is not the thing that I'm good at. But I know tons of people who are better at execution, are better at having certain conversations with people to make stuff happen, have a better network than I do to make things happen. So why wouldn't I give that to them? So if that's you, give that to somebody. Of course, have yourself backed up, do all the legal things you need to do to make sure you're certified. But again, that comes in that collaboration, that partnership that just makes the world go round. We wouldn't have a lot of the things that we have now if it wasn't for collaboration or network. I'm telling you, go look at any business, anything. There are going to be tons of names listed under whoever that CEO, that manager is, whatever the case may be. There are tons of names listed under that person because no one person can function alone. It just does not work. God created this whole earth by itself, and what did he do? Put a bunch of people here? Because what was going to flourish if it was no more people? The man of all needed people. So why do we, as the people, think we don't need nobody?
You said before, we bring it home right here.
Mm-hmm.
You said before that there's so many people listening and watching that we may not even know. Guess what? The city listening to you right now. Bringing it home, the city's listening. What you got to say?
Well, depending on what part of the city is listening to me, I'll say that. For the city of Indianapolis and the powers that be listening to me, listen to the people. Listen to what's happening. Listen with your heart. Not with your mind, not with your pockets. Listen with your heart. You already are who you're meant to be. You've always been who you will become. We just all have to go through different experiences and meet different people, go through different things in life to understand how all of those will culminate to make us a force to be effective in the world. That's all that it is. But that comes from listening to yourself and listening to people around you. So much of who I've been able to become is from me listening to people, listening to other people's stories, their circumstances, their life journeys, to be able to appreciate the good and the bad of what I've been through and understand how I can mix all those things to create a totally different experience, not just in my life, but the lives of people around me. I've been able to introduce people to new people, new foods, new places, new experiences and everything because I was able to experience it, and then I wanted to give that back to people. So that's one. If I'm speaking to the city, to my Naptown people, quit being afraid. Don't be afraid of whatever it is that you have inside, because at the end of the day, what you have inside is what you have inside. Nobody knows that except you and whoever your spiritual leader is. That's the only people that know. And if you feel yourself tossing and turning at night, it's this nagging thing in your ear that you can't get rid of, that's your purpose. It's trying to tell you something. Listen to it. Lean into it. When things get uncomfortable, lean into the uncomfortability, because that's the moment when things are about to make the biggest change in your life. Listen to other people around you. Let the ego go. At the end of the day, we're all people. We're going to have a start date and an end date. What you do in between that time is the impact that you make in the world. So you shouldn't be going day to day worried about, oh, I don't know what this person's going to say about this, or who cares? They are not going in that box with you, so who cares? Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask questions, to reach out to people. It is impossible for you to know every single thing. Absolutely impossible. Ask questions, network. Don't be afraid to let your dreams come to life, because none of who we are is only attached to us. You're holding back something that somebody else is waiting for. So how dare you be selfish to the people around you by being so selfish with you? Become more selfless and make your impact in the world.
The city was listening. And if the city chose not to listen, then I got some choice words I'm not going to say. I'm going to put you on mute. She dropped gems. She dropped bars. This is episode number 1 of Naptown Narratives. See y'all soon.
Our stories, our legacy, our city.
Why they trying to get ahead of me? Feeling like a whole celebrity. Every day I build